I'm Jay Horton. I make movies that make money. This is how. I was a little torn about doing this video. On one hand, I pretty much like to be a purveyor of positivity in regards to filmmaking and working in this industry. And there's so much negative crap out there already, especially amongst filmmakers. But on the other hand, I do think just blind positivity can be every bit as harmful as dire negativity. And I honestly struggle a little bit with this channel in regards to straying too far into toxic positivity. I talk a lot about how anyone with the right motivation, skill, and drive can make their way as a working filmmaker. And I hold to that. I really do believe if you choose to go down this path and dedicate everything you have to it, you can make it happen. Making a living as a filmmaker is not a fairy tale, but that path is definitely not for everyone. I've personally given up many different aspects of my life to fully commit to my career as a filmmaker in order to get to where I am now. I'm in my mid-40s. I've never been married. I have no kids. I have very few hobbies outside of filmmaking. Now, I'm not saying that you have to give up all of those things to make it as a filmmaker. That would be ridiculous. But in my particular case, with my particular disposition, I do believe that to pretty much be true for me. And in addition to those things, I've struggled through many periods in my adult life, sometimes years at a time, just barely getting by financially, or honestly, not getting by. Now, things are better now, but I lived basically in poverty or just a step above it for a lot of my career. And to be perfectly honest, I wasn't happy. Sure, I did love my work, and I was pretty happy when I was on set or editing or working at some point on a project. But there are 24 hours in every day, and that's not all there is to life. And the other parts of mine were not so awesome. Do not get me wrong. I love where I'm at right now and what I do. I love making movies, and I'm very content with how things are going right now. But if I had to do it all over again, would I still pursue filmmaking? Would I still struggle through the decade or decades of tough living? Honestly, I can't really say. There's a big part of me, especially as I get older, that kind of wishes I had stayed in law school, got married, had kids. And yes, of course I realize that it's never too late, but I chose the filmmaking path, and I don't know anymore if it was the best choice for a life well lived. Many filmmakers might say things like, well, I have to make movies. It's all I can do. And maybe for them that's true. But I really believe if they were being 100% honest with themselves, I kind of honestly doubt it. For me, and believe me, I said that very thing many, many times over the years, but reflecting now, it's not really true. I do believe I would have enjoyed being a lawyer or a boat captain. I really liked working offshore. I did it for a few years prior to college. And had I pursued something else, I still could have made movies. One or two every few years, making them during my vacation time and whatnot. I know people that do that. Anyway, I really made this video just because I want other filmmakers out there to know that even if you're years in, it's not set in stone that this is what you have to do to earn a living. There are always other choices. And there's nothing wrong with doing it as a hobby, making a movie every blue moon, and make no mistake. Unless you are super lucky, making a real living as an independent filmmaker is tough as fuck. And the odds of making a comfortable living are not stacked in your favor. And if you are one of those filmmakers out there trying to make your living as a filmmaker and you're just not happy with it, you're not happy with your life, it's never too late to give it up and try something else if it's not working out. And contrary to some opinions, it is not weakness to give up. Sometimes it takes a much stronger person to say, hey, I gave it a shot, it didn't work out, I'm gonna do something else to be happy. I still want to live my best life, and this just isn't the way. And the longer that you do something, the harder it is to make a call like that and the more strength it takes to make a call like that. Anyway, don't read me wrong here. I'm not saying that I'm unhappy now or am considering quitting filmmaking for real. I'm not. But we all have to blaze our own trails. Let's see what some other filmmakers have to say. Filmmaker tips. There's a feeling of accomplishment and almost a complacent feeling when a movie is wrapped in post, so it can be very hard to feel motivated to start pushing, promoting, and getting it noticed. For me, it makes it worse when the film gets those festival rejections and when it doesn't feel like it's getting the attention it deserves, and especially when the bills start to pile on and you're not making enough money from it to make it through. I definitely feel you there. I often compare the feeling of when a movie wraps production and post to postpartum depression.
I consider it all the time. Seems like every day someone higher up the pole is finding a way to squeeze us out of the little bit of money that there is to be made. There are too many hoops and too many middlemen. The person who makes the product, the filmmaker, is the last to see any profits. Everyone else has their hand in the pot and takes. Then you're lucky to get what's left over. Everyone gets to deduct expenses but you. The cost of the movie itself is the largest and the first expense to be accrued, but you don't always get to deduct it. Your cut of what's left over has to be first equal to the budget of the movie before you even see a single cent of profit. If you're going 50-50 with the sales agent on a $100,000 movie, it has to earn $200,000 before you start seeing any money. By then, the agent has made their cut and has moved on to the next thing. You're considered lucky if you even break even. And people praise that. People praise that you worked for over a year on a movie and were able not to lose money. But guess what? You didn't make any either.
I feel you there, but at this stage and age for me, I'll most likely die making movies. But I often think if I had it all to do over again, I might choose a different path. 24 years and still trying to make that hit. I also work in the business, so I'm around it every day. I consider myself an artist, so that desire to create and tell stories will never go away. That's good to hear, especially from someone that's been doing it for so long. Stay passionate every day. That exact same comment was made by a bunch of folk. It's odd. I expected a ton more like, I'll never give up on my dream type responses, but most were actually very self-reflective and even heartfelt answers. Don't forget to hit up the like button and share this video on the Facebooks and the Twitters. But whatever you do, keep making movies. Unless, of course, making movies turns out to be something that you don't want to do anymore, and in that case, don't.